welcome back to Dark Woke, your direct link to all things politics, comedy, and culture. I am your host, Janaya Future Khan, champ yapper and frequent nuisance in the activist and comedy world. Let's get dialed in. But just where we jump, Dark Woke is a self-funded, self-produced show. We're on Patreon/Dark Woke. I am so grateful for all the support and for you just taking the time to listen. Okay, listen, I'm not normal right now. I watched that entire 100-minute shit fuck State of the Union address, whatever that was, whatever show that was. And so I came here, and as some of you know, I do this whole thing off of like one software program, OBS. And typically, right, when I record it, in the event of a crash, there's like a backup file that gets loaded. Well, that didn't work yesterday for whatever reason. And so I lost the episode. And if you had heard the scream I scrumped, the scream I scrumped, there was a Negro in it. Do you understand? There was a real Negro in it. I was upset. I was furious, you know? And I was like, that was it for me. It's going to happen every now and again. But I have saved it. I've saved it. We are all in various states of disarray. That's the only word I know for this. We're in disarray. So I'm going to ease us. I'm going to ease us into it because it was 100 minutes of just bullshit and lies. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple top lines before we get into it, and it's going to be good. So we're going to do some of that. Some top lines, and then I haven't really heard it yet, but I saw all over the news. Hannah Berner is this white girl comedian, very, very well known. Apparently she interviewed Meg Thee Stallion on the red carpet at I think the Variety after party, and apparently something weird happened, right? Racism cries, but we got to investigate it. So we're going to have a good time in this episode because I'm telling you, we deserve to have a good fucking time. Okay. Indulge me though, because I feel like nobody respected this joke. So you know how the Dems were there with the paddles, and you know how I feel. The reps and a few real Democrats are fucking crushing it right now. There just so happens to be rot at the top, which is Schumer, Hakeem, etc. Shut up, Hakeem, right? So I saw them with the paddles, and I did the screenshot, and I said, yes, the infamous anti-fascist paddle strategy that inspired Hitler's lesser-known sequel, Mein Paddling Kampf. Okay, just to be clear, that's my paddle struggle, okay? I won't read the whole thing, but I needed to be that annoying. And bring it to you. Anyway, I want to tell you about this thing I read today. So obviously Trump has pushed this tariff thing very, very hard. And he's tried to do it with Canada, where Trudeau went so far as to say that this is just dumb. And I like that energy from him because he's such a little twink. And honestly, twinks are bitchy. It's one of their strengths. They can psychologically tear you apart without you knowing what is going on. I'd love to see more of that energy, right? But now he's calling out China. So China responded. They said that they will fight with the U.S. in a trade war, right? I'm going to tell you right now. We are not winning any war with China under any circumstances. Do you get me? Like, can you imagine fighting people who actually like where they come from, who are proud of where they come from? This is what they said, okay, to Trump's tariff threats. This is a quote, okay? China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has promised that China will, quote, fight to the end with the U.S. in a tariff war, trade war, or any other war. No, these are fucking gangsters, okay? Do not sleep. This is China's strongest rhetoric on any U.S. president, right? In recent history, and certainly on President Donald Trump since he entered the White House. And like, you think, right? Like, Trump thinks that they're going to win that. Your entire administration is full of wet blanket, incel, beta cucks, right? They're all blowhards, but don't even have the capacity to blow hard. Like, and let's just be clear, right? Let me just be really clear. This is an honor-based society. They said that they vow to go to war, right? They'll fight the U.S. in the trade war or any other war. Let me be really clear about something, okay? You guys just banned transgenders from the military, right? Your numbers are thin as it is, but let me be clear about why this is a major disservice to you. And I'm not pro-military, okay? But I want to be really clear. I want to be really clear about why this is not the time to play with the transgenders in the military, okay? The T-boys, the trans boys, they're working triple time because they got something to prove to the cis boys. They're taking the juice and they know what's up, right? But the T-girls, let me tell you, have you ever seen a white transgender woman play Fortnite? Those bitches do not miss. Okay, do you understand? Have you ever seen them play Call of Duty? They don't miss. You're so concerned, you fucking transphobes, on the size of the hands of a trans woman. No, you should worry about how steady they are. They're fucking sharpshooters. You lucked out. You missed out. You missed out, you simple bitches. Okay, please be serious. Okay, like this, the embassy reiterated the message, right? I want to be clear. This is China talking, right? It's all over the place. I think I sourced this from both the Washington Post, fucking NPR, The Guardian. Okay, this is what they said. If war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff, they tripled down. You understand? They tripled down, and then they got even stronger when they were talking to their own folks. If war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end. Yeah. Yeah. How long has China been around for? Let me just look up. I just need to know, right? Like, I need to know how old is China? 5,000 years old, right? Around 4,000 to 5,000 years old. I don't even need to look up it's a couple hundred years. We're not winning. And honestly, I'm going to tell you something right now, right? Because when asked on Wednesday to clarify what he meant, right? Lin, this is their foreign affairs minister, right? He said, if the U.S. has other intentions and insists on damaging China's interests, we will fight to the end. They're not even saying you need to be doing shit. They said, you're going to mess with our interests. You're going to mess with our interests. We're taking you out. Okay. We advise the U.S. to put away its bullying face. This type of shit that you got to bow for over there. This is like, don't play in their faces, right? We advise the U.S. to put away its bullying face and return to the right track of dialogue and cooperation as soon as possible. Do you understand? This is what they meant when they said big dick energy, right? All your little shit stereotypes. No. This is what that is. This is what that is. They're not here to play. And I'm going to tell you something right now, right? I'm not mad at this. Like, I know tariffs are a tax on the consumer. This is what people don't get, right? We got to learn how to simplify this stuff. Tariffs are a tax on the consumer. That being said, okay, I would absolutely love to see Elon Musk get like crouching tiger, hidden dragon, skank slapped, right? That hair transplant would be holding on for dear life. Like, I want to see where this goes. Take me with you. I would start giving over trade secrets or whatever insights they wanted before I got captured. Do you understand? I'd be sitting there trying to connect with the Chinese soldiers, telling them I used to have a chihuahua named Beijing growing up. Like, I love red note, like whatever. Like, do you understand what they're trying to do to us here? This is an objective fact, right? The U.S. Supreme Court, 5-4, ruled, right? They weakened the protections on discharge of raw sewage into water supplies. Okay? Like, were the microplastics fucking not enough? I've got an entire plastic dinner set floating around in my bloodstream as it is. You raggedy bitches, you think because you're full of shit that we want to be too? Absolutely fucking not, okay? Absolutely fucking not. I hate here. Damn it. Okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. They're showing their ass, okay? And I know that people were looking at the infighting that is going on across the Democrats, but it is actually very good. It is very good. It's very promising. Our anger, our disgust is reaching a boiling point. We need to make sure that that doesn't turn into despair. I am here to make sure that our anger and our disgust does not turn into despair. And you all are helping me do the same, right? This Supreme Court, and you know what's so funny? Amy Cohen Barrett, right? That like right-wing, deranged loser on the Supreme Court, they're turning on her too. Like it is the snake eating its own tail, right? And we just got to wait because already House Republicans, even the House Republicans have a couple questions, right? So Musk had to defend himself. And he was just like, this was from Politico. And, oh, by the way, I read a note from someone who I've had a hard time finding the home for, all the links to articles and stuff. But one of you reached out and I'm going to reach back out because I really want that. It's just, I want you to have access to all the things I looked up. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Musk had to defend himself because the House Republicans were like, hey, because remember, they're going to need somebody to blame when shit hits the fan, right? Is Musk going to make out like the musky bitch that he is, like with more wealth? Yes. Yes. Right? But not without being humiliated by us, right? This guy says, Doge can't bet 1,000 all the time. That's what he said. Are you fucking kidding me? The level of delusion here, like just batting 1,000. Batting 1,000? You batting 1,000. You're Bill fucking Bergen. Do you understand, you bird brain bitch? You are the absolute worst hitter in MLB history. Oh my God. The grace extended to the obscenely wealthy is beyond me. We used to fucking hate billionaires. We used to be embarrassed that they exist. And watching all these fucking so-called alpha men just fucking glazing them, just like, you know what I mean? Just glazing. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. But they're starting to slip up. They're starting to ask questions, right? I have this moment where I'm like, do we do the palate cleanser? I wish at some point all of this shit has to be live. Because I'm like, we have so many options here. We could do the palate cleanser. We could do the recap of the whole affair. Do you know what I mean? Or we could talk about how these guys are just fondling the balls of Elon Musk and how even Joe Rogan's fan base is actually over it. You know what? Let's do a little bit of a palate cleanser. Here is Rep. Jasmine Crockett doing what the fuck she does. Because that's somebody that has earned our respect. And that's somebody who is fighting. And it's so short and it's going to be so fucking satisfying. Here you go.
This is not what we should be doing. I don't even know why we fighting with Greenland. Why we fighting with Greenland? We fighting with Canada. We fighting with Mexico. Yet we in love with Putin. What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up because I'm ready to get on with it. This is not...
Okay. I'm really, really fucking with this woman. Like, truly, right? I'm going to tell you something. Black Texas is stepping the fuck up right now because Al Green on the floor, right, gets yanked out. Hold on, let me pull this up just for those who didn't watch it. And honestly, you didn't fucking miss a thing. First of all, that's my job. Don't worry about it if you didn't miss it, if you missed it. Second of all, it was literally just lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. That's all they do. And what's important is here together, we actually are ahead of the curve, right? Like they're now on like in the New York Times or the Washington Post talking about, you know, the Medicare scam, just in depth. We're ahead of the curve. We're on it. But let me play a little Maddow for you just to give some foundation laying. I'm going to break it up with some Al Green content. We need a palate cleanser. Like, just see this as like ginger, right? I'm your little ginger transgender. That's what I am. All right. Here's a clip of Maddow talking that talk that gives us a little bit of insight into what went down that night. Pull it up here. There we go.
Just looking to see if he's actually going to start speaking again. Started off on very contentious terms. Congressman Al Green interrupting at the outset when the president claims a historic mandate from his victory in the 2024 election. Congressman Green repeatedly interjecting and
great energy. There has to be a record of resistance, and it also is spiritually corrective for us to see that level of disgust, right? That is not expected or required of everyone. Some people do need to witness the shit, but it has to be for a reason. It has to be for a reason, right? So let me just keep playing because Mattow's about to outline who kind of had to bounce.
And then removed by the orders of the Sergeant at Arms while Republican members of Congress jeered and made gestures toward him, celebrating him being ejected over the course of the president's remarks.
So let's be really clear, right? Maddow just said Al Green, right, gets yanked out, forcibly removed from the floor by the party that claims it's about free speech. Fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Fuck you. It's never been about that. It's always been a red herring. It's always been beta cuck bullshit. I want to say what I want to say. I get to say what I want to say, but not you. Not you. Just me. It's like, grow a fucking set. Do you know what I mean? Like, get it the fuck together.
See how many empty seats you can see behind him just there. That's because Democrats as a group filed out quickly when he was done, but a number of Democrats left well before he was done, in the middle of his remarks. They included Jasmine Crockett from Texas, Maxwell Frost walked out, Maxine Dexter from Maryland, Andrea Salinas from Oregon, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, Pramila Jayapal. We believe that's only a partial list. A number of Democrats left during the remarks.
And, you know, as they should, right? These are the folks who are sort of leading this new charge, this like the vanguard. And if we were in a different country, they could have formed their own party. As it stands, because of the concentration of wealth, because of the inability to currently to put caps on super PACs. What the fuck is that about? Do you know what I mean? The influence of these massive lobby groups, right? The Electoral College, there's all of these factors in this newer country that decided to do things like differently and just like shot itself in the foot. But then we go back to that original thing that I can't remember what episode it was, where we talked about that this is actually by design. The like skanky, scurvy having weirdos with like cow and slave teeth that kind of founded this country. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I disrespectful of our founding fathers? I'm sounding a lot like the Republicans who claim to be patriots and pro-constitution, pro-country, and yet do everything they absolutely can to discredit, undermine, and actually completely rewrite what is constitutionally sound, right? Like, there are no rules that these folks are not willing to break. But anyway, they were terrified of mob mentality. They actually did not respect the populace and the people. It was very much about, and it makes sense because, like, first of all, they literally threw a fit because they wanted slavery to keep going on. Like, and then they were even less well read, right? Like, that was not a thing for those folks. Like, it was not. And like they like chased off or like tried to, I don't know, murder all the cool people. So you had a small, and you always had the absolute fucking cool abolitionists and this, that, and the other. But anyway, sorry, that this is me getting off on a tangent. The point is, we need to have, there are so many things that currently inhibit our ability to actually form a useful, meaningful third party, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be the case, right? It also doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking for who our heroes are within the Democratic Party. And it is never going to be the establishment. Shut up, Hakeem. They're fucking useless. But the folks that Maddow just named, those are our heroes. I want to take a little pause for a second because I want to pull up, gotta make sure I have that timestamp. Yep. Al Green. So this is Rep. Al Green, also from Texas. Hooray. Who will explain why he was forcibly dragged out. I want to be clear. It's because of his beliefs. But yeah, no, free speech, right? Free speech. Unless it's somebody you don't like, you whiny little bitch boys. Oh, sorry. It's so quiet. He's like walking up. I don't know why I'm going to just speed that along. Here we go. Like, he was really, gravitas if you're watching the video.
The president said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that
That's
his
right.
budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs
That's right.
that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people.
That's right.
It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility, against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility. Well, look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say
Oh, God. What a man. What a man. What a man.
to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
Were you saying you have no mandate? Is that what you just said?
That's what he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. None.
That's right.
The punishment that you were kicked out, sir? Is there something?
I don't know. Whatever the punishment is, I'm not fighting the punishment. This is about the people who are being punished by virtue of losing their health care.
That's right.
The richest country in the world.
That's
and
right.
We have people who don't have good health care. We've got to do better. And now we're about to cut Medicaid, which is for poor people. Health care has become wealth care for many people.
You know, this is one of those moments where you get a glimpse of what could be. You know, and that to me is everything. It really always comes down to who is in power at this time. That's it. That's it. Do I think that there's going to be a power grab in 4 years? Absolutely. These fucking losers. But they are going to, but before there was a power grab, it depends on how successful the money grab is, right? They are cutting staff in national parks and forests. Why? Right? Partly because they want to actually cut down lumber and conservation efforts and destroy ecology. They're cutting arts programs, monies for artists, right? Medicaid, healthcare, education. Fucking the wife of Vince McMahon from the WWE, who has absolutely no experience running this, is about to gut the Department of Education, which I'm sure we'll be talking about either tomorrow or the episode after, right? Because it's how she's going to do it and how they intend to do it is what matters here. My point is, they actually want to make us suffer in every imaginable way. And one of the ways to do that is to destroy imagination, to destroy art, to take away beautiful things. Think of the projects, right? You know, one of the fastest ways to measure the wealth of a neighborhood is by the trees, the age of the trees. I did not grow up on a tree-lined street. I grew up in a project, you know, so it was a lot of buildings. And when there were trees, they were very frail and small. It was only later that I, you know, saw these large, beautiful tree-lined streets. They will take anything and everything that inspires you. So this is where we fight, we create beauty, we push back, we don't stop making art, and we go back to that DIY, that guerrilla shit that we love. Let me let this beautiful man finish.
And we can't afford to let that happen.
Oh, wow. That had 2 minutes. The sexual undertones, freaked me out. Freaked me out!
Is that the only thing that you're protesting?
No, I have other things I'm protesting. And I'm also working on my articles of impeachment. This president
Don't you just love this man? He's like, I have a list. I have a list.
He should not hold the office. 34 felony convictions, 2 times impeached.
Sir, tell me one more time what you were shouting in the chamber.
That he has no mandate to cut Medicaid.
That's what you were saying over and
Yes.
over. Thank you.
He was saying, you have no mandate to cut Medicaid. And he was dragged out of Congress. Right? That's it. That's what it comes down to. He was dragged out of Congress. Let's get back to Maddow, just so that she can. She just is really good at the whole synopsis shit. Big fan of her synopsis. It comes with the haircut and the blazer, you know?
The president, in his, what we believe was ad-libbing, we did not have prepared remarks from the president, which is unusual. White Houses usually distribute prepared remarks, so we don't know what was digression from those remarks and what was
All
ad-lib.
of it! He's senile!
But the president did repeatedly seem to be ad-libbing when he was remarking on the expected impact of the economic decisions he's already made 6 weeks in, saying that the American people would have to bear with him, that there would be a little disturbance, that there would be an adjustment period. And again, he said a little disturbance, essentially suggesting that the roiling that we saw in the markets is something that he knows he caused, but he hopes people will not mind.
Wild. Oh, yeah. No, you guys just suffer a little for me. That's all. Suffer a little for me. Nothing will ever come of it. I will make off like a robber baron. But, you know, if you really loved me, you will just, you know, die. You'll just die. And that way we'll totally own the libs. Hungry children totally own the libs. Well done.
For the record, the worst inflation in this country was in 1980. For the record,
that's because Trump said that it was under Biden, which actually, you know, and I'm eye rolling here because a few episodes back, there's a really great article in Politico that kind of broke down how they talked about employment was actually, and just on a federal level, that's been true across the board. Those numbers are inflated because of how it's counted. Even so, the economy was, you know, I'm using air quotes, in a stable and strong place. But they get up and they say whatever they want. And this is the thing that makes me so angry is like he just fucking lie. They just lie. When words mean nothing, right? We're in the state where words mean nothing. And so if you're feeling that a disquiet or it's what happens when something is that illogic. It's like a type of poison. But the antidote is being around each other and doing that spiritual correctiveness and looking at who the helpers are. I always love that little thing about, look for the helpers. It's so cute, but so fucking vicious at the same time, because we are the helpers and we will help. Mangione!
Economy that he was left by President Biden was not a catastrophe. It was literally the best economy in the world and was described by The Economist magazine as the envy of the world. That was the economy that was left to Donald Trump by Joe Biden. For the record, Social Security is not paying benefits in large numbers to 300-year-old people or 250-year-old people.
So part of why I'm doing this is rather than sit and listen to his bullshit lies, we're actually getting something substantive, which is factual.
Or 200-year-old people or 150-year-old people. In fact, the idea of Social Security as a bastion of massive fraud and overpayment is completely false. For the record, U.S. auto company CEOs are not psyched and delighted and so excited about President Trump's economic policies, including his tariffs. Take, for example, the CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, who said that Trump's tariff policies would, quote, blow a hole in the U.S. auto industry that, quote, we've never seen. The president flat out lied about U.S. versus European spending to support what used to be our allies in Ukraine. The U.S. has committed about $125 billion to Ukraine's defense. Europe has committed about $259 billion. The president radically misstating the character and quantity of...
That is Maddow speak for you're a lying ass raggedy bitch.
Our relative support for what used to be our ally.
We're rounding the corner here.
Ally and no longer ours. For the record, Joe Biden did not close over 100 power plants. There were more utility-sized power plants up and running in the United States when Joe Biden left office than when he achieved office.
If you're feeling a little snoozy, don't worry, me too. I'm going to let her finish. I had to say that because of what happened before. If we let him finish, she's got to finish. You know what I mean?
For the record, there is no EV mandate. For the record,
there is none.
Oil and gas production in the United States hit all-time records under President Joe Biden. For the record, even Doge has never claimed that they have saved hundreds of billions of dollars in savings. The largest items they have claimed to achieve as savings in the U.S. budget have been debunked and they've been taken down, but even they don't falsely claim hundreds of billions.
They have done nothing. And honestly, a lot of what Doge actually claimed, like not even just claimed, what the vast majority of what Doge has actually saved, which is, significantly less than anything that they're hyperinflated numbers. Like, remember that Elon Musk is getting paid $8 million a day for his service in Doge alone. Not to mention those weird little, incel-y racist boys, not all of them, but a couple of them, who are honestly begging like six-figure salaries, right?
Billions of dollars worth of saving. For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who thus far survived pediatric cancer.
This is while Trump has cut cancer research. This is what they do. It's very much The Simpsons. Won't somebody please think of the children? This is what they do. They will drag kids out. They'll use anything. We care about kids. We care about this, that. But when it actually comes to the practices, they don't give a goddamn. It's just for spectacle.
As if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatrics. For the record, I will note that Donald Trump did admit in his remarks today explicitly that Elon Musk is the head of Doge. And while that comes as no surprise to anybody who's been following the facts of this matter, that will end up in court because that is directly contrary to what the administration has overtly sworn to a federal judge about the leadership of Doge.
You know, I want to take some satisfaction in that, but we all know that. But here's the thing: whatever's going to impede them in any way, shape, or form, throw everything at them. Do you know? If this is the time we're taking a volley of arrows and we're just fucking shooting it up, some of them are gonna hit. We don't know exactly how, but anything that ties their hands, ties their fingers, trips up their toes, whatever it is, in order to make that, you know, 1,000 cuts, that culture of 1,000 cuts. That's where we need to be.
I should
Almost
also
there.
note, and this doesn't have to be for the record, I'll just note it for our own experience tonight, that at that point in the speech, when the president talked about how we will no longer be ruled by unelected bureaucrats, Democrats in the chamber
Fucking
pointed
laughable.
and laughed at Elon Musk,
Yeah,
an elected bureaucrat.
yeah. He's not. Like, come on.
I'm sorry to dump a lot of fact checks there, and that's not even scratching the surface of the things that need to be.
Yeah, it's that. Those were the main ones, and I was like, there was a point where I was going to just. I had a million clips of Trump, and it made me feel so fucking sick. So this is where we're at, right? This is where we're at. Here's my little palate cleanser, right? Because anytime where it's like there's mixed messaging on what we should do or who, you know, how to do it, because I'm all for Al Green. What I'm not really interested in is Slotkin. Do you know what I mean? Like that whole recap, Senator Alyssa Slotkin, just boring to me. I don't even know if it's worth playing the clip because it's just been a lot of white women with really strong haircuts talking, which honestly, they get shit done. Do not even play with me. Look at Elizabeth Warren. Do not play with me. I love when these women are on your side, you win at the end of the day. Get the fuck out of the way. But a little palate cleanser, don't ever, 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 ever kowtow to fascism. Here is the voice that I heard when I was listening to Al Green, when I'm watching this thing and I'm getting pissed off. Do you know whose voice I heard? Eartha Kitt. I'm telling you, we're not making birds the way that we used to. This is why I enjoy the company of older people, because they fucking get it. You just play this for you. Here's your palate cleanser. Here we go.
But are you willing to compromise within a relationship?
To compromise? What is compromising? Compromising for what? Compromising for what reason? To compromise? For what? To compromise. What is compromise?
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
Stupid.
Wait. Let me pull it back. Wait, you guys, wait.
Stupid.
That right there, stupid.
A man comes into my life and I have to compromise? You must think about that one again. A man comes into my life and you have to compromise for what? For what?
I gotta tell you, I cannot capture how often in my brain when I'm alone I hear, for what? For what? It's one of my favorite clips. I was going to talk about the whole transgender mouse thing, but I made a reel on that on IG. I'll just say it's a bunch of bullshit. It is part of a larger practice. He was basically like $8 million spent on transgender mice. Meanwhile, let's be really clear that he actually would never speak on the fact that Elon Musk walks away just from Doge alone, right? We're not talking about how the contracts that he's been able to secure under this, right? We're not even talking about that. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up the source right now for my little thingies because I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the goods. Okay, so this entire fucking thing that he, because I was like, did I hear that right? $8 million on transgender mice. I was just like, this. You guys, I was like, this can't be real. So I look into it, and this whole thing with mice, like in Time magazine right now, you could go look it up. They're talking about using mice, like they've made woolly mice in the hope of one day bringing back the woolly mammoth, right? And I'm like, okay, definitely would ride one, be BFFs, but also fix the ozone layer and do something about this Musk guy who's sky detritus. And I'm not even joking. His space garbage is actually eroding the ozone layer at a faster rate. Like when I tell you that the world would be so much better off without that man. And we also obviously need all the checks and balances to ensure that more like him don't step in that place because it's going to be a vacuum. But again, I'm digressing too much. I got to lock in. This is what happens. I didn't get enough calories today because I've been what? I had to ground down today. I had to ground down and say, what am I feeling? Right? It was one of those. We're going to get to that in a second. It was a transgenic mouse technology, right? This is a form of study where we use human grade medications on mice that have been injected with human cells so that they react and respond to things more consistently with us. And this actually has revolutionized science. So to be clear, we're doing a lot of studies on mice. So on one hand, I'm like, okay, wait, let me get my little PETA hat on. Like, cause are they good? Cause at this point, I can't tell you if we're evolving or not as people. But that, like the way that these things are thrown out, like the way that they spend an exorbitant amount of time hitting two communities, right? Trans people and black people. But with black people, it's not as direct. They're talking about now wanting to pardon Derek Chauvin. If that actually picks up steam, I'm going to need us to turn the fuck up. Okay? Because I remember every motherfucker out here who was Black Lives Matter in 2020. Okay? I remember every corporation because we all saw the same heinous thing. A police officer that actively and slowly killed a man needlessly for no reason. We watched him suffocate. Okay? I don't give a fuck about what they all got to say about George Floyd. That was a human being who did not deserve to die that way. And I promise you, I'm going to turn the fuck up with that. But they have been actively targeting these two communities and passively targeting women because they know that as the left, we do not fight for women. We need to change that. Yesterday. We will not win unless we are picking up the fucking mantle on fighting for women's rights. And we've got to rebrand this. We got to rebrand it. We got to that's why I'm so happy we got the trans girls on our side, because honestly, it's the winning fucking side. That's how I feel about that. I'm positive. I am positive. Okay. I'm going off. I'm getting off topic. It was 100. I was like, I've been unhinged. Okay. How I've been feeling. Okay. I had to get grounded. I sat down with a friend and I found that I wasn't making eye contact. We had gone to an open mic and, we missed it. We were both on time, but a lot of these mics, you can't be on time. You've got to be early to sign up, right? And so I had two options, right? We could get in there and sit and watch comedy, leave. Well, three options, right? Or just have a tete-a-tete. So I was like, let's have a little kiki, whatever. And I found it, I was having such a hard time being present, which is really unusual for me. And I had a hard time making eye contact. And I'm like, what's going on? And this constant inundation with lies, with bullshit, it does something. It does something to the body. Intellectually, we can fight it. We're good at that. But the body responds very differently. And yes, the body keeps the score, but it does. It responds really differently and it acts at a time. So I'm going to say, be very mindful and to the best of your ability, be inside your body. It took about 40 minutes for me to actually just relax and be present. And one of the ways that I figured out that I was able to do, not figured out, that I was able to do it was just to ask a lot of questions and then listen to the answers, really listen. And when I left, I felt so much better. I felt so much better because when you can't be present inside of yourself, it's a lot easier to be present for somebody else, you know? And honestly, we're all conditioned for that, especially if you were socialized as a woman or socialized as a girl or feminine. We are such advocates for others, and we're the shittiest advocates for ourselves, you know? So when you don't know what to do what you know. That's my point, right? When you don't know what you do what you know. And, you know, when we were talking about the Oscars the other day and Brady Corbet being essentially, you know, not getting paid, right? Living off of a 2-year paycheck from an Oscar-nominated film and then an Oscar-winning film, was not to say that they're just like us. It was to remind you that you're just like them. You're just like them. There is nobody out here who's doing some amazing, incredible shit that you are not doing. A job is a fucking job. It is not your calling. Don't ever forget that. In this economy, we definitely cannot be messing around thinking we need to be, you know, our value is determined by our worth. The richest fucking cucks on the planet are absolute losers. How is it that you can't even afford good plastic surgery? How are you still ugly? That's the question. How are you still this ugly? It's got to be the deeds. It's got to be the deeds. Okay. I want to play a question because I have not been on it enough. I've not been on it enough. We've not been on it. Oh shit. Fuck. I said I was going to do the Hannah Berner thing. You know what? It's a couple minutes. Let's just do it because I want to know what happened, but I actually don't. I thought, let's just do this together. So let's just, so what this, I mean, this has actually been, it's all over TikTok. It's like, you know, in the cut, like it's just been covered, you know? So Hannah Berner is a comedian and we all know who Meg Thee Stallion is. And I don't know who the other bird is. A lot of interviews going on. So let's just play it. And then I'm taking we're doing a question. I want to know if something's amiss because there's a lot of like, this is racist, this is fucked up, whatever. So let's see what happened. Apparently it was the way that she interviewed her or something. Okay.
The best redhead of the carpet.
Me. I am newly in the Redhead Club.
Yes.
Welcome. Hi, it's nice here.
I do have to say I watched your documentary on Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. I was so inspired after that. I could take over the world. I was thinking, what was your inspiration behind this?
Yeah. I just really wanted to give
asking about the outfit.
She's bearing it all at Vanity Fair.
Eco-friendly.
No, you're crushing
She's definitely
it.
giving Poison Ivy.
Yes.
No,
yes.
the green is crushing it, and I love a feather. I freaking
Okay, it's cute, but something about their yes is really hard for me.
love it. Look at
The
that.
body is body.
No, it's bodying.
My God, I'm obsessed. So when you go in this party, are you dancing or are you just holding it tight, posing?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm standing still. I'm giving statue. I'm giving Oscar.
I feel like they have to pay to see you perform.
I told you that was a different live stream.
I miss journalism. Am I a misogynist or is this just annoying? Maybe both are true. Maybe it's not annoying at all. It's the tone is hard for me. But you know what? They're all thrown into this. They're all thrown into this situation, and you're talking to strangers trying to find common ground in like 5 seconds. So you know what? I get it. The pitch.
Yeah. Don't do that. that.
Don't do that for free. That's
But nothing
crazy.
yet. Nothing weird has happened
I do it
yet.
for the hotties everywhere, though. Yeah.
No, you do it for the girls, and we
For the
appreciate
girls.
that.
Yeah. You give so much confidence to women everywhere. What do you do when you're not feeling confident?
I start my day with you.
We
and
do.
only
Wait.
you.
Oh my God! Wait, I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry. We're
I'm
live.
crying. No,
This is a live stream.
No, I know. No, your music has literally.
So the person who's talking now is Hannah Berner's voice. I just want you to lock into that because I haven't heard the thing that's supposed to be the thing yet. So let me I pulled it back a couple of seconds. I'm gonna lock in.
Really, like
Change
made
their
me
life.
when I want to fight someone, I
Are you
listen to your
legit
music.
tearing up?
Because you want to throw that fighting shit out the window and you want to get cute and be a bad bitch.
When people are talking shit, I go, turn on Meg Thee
Body yada
Stallion.
yada. I look beautiful. I look so great.
Wait, no, you look so.
Okay. I did see some tweets on this. I get a little bit of the tension point right here. Let me just play it a little bit more and then we're gonna pull it back.
But I know because I watched your documentary. You've been through so many dark things. Yeah. How do you get your?
Sorry, Walton Goggins is on the other side of the screen. People who are on YouTube can know what I'm talking about. He's so fucking hot. He's so fucking hot. That is a man. You get that's a fucking man. Totally unrelated. Sorry.
Yourself up and inspire people.
I've never seen her this passionate.
I just look in the mirror and I be like, damn, you that girl.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you are that girl. So go outside and act like you that girl.
No, we love being
then that's how I
outside and
tackle my
acting like
day.
that.
I'm crying.
Meg
would be the one that made me cry.
I'll take my
Hannah's
pictures.
tearing
True,
up.
don't
I'm not
cry.
gonna cry.
Do you cry a lot?
I do cry. I'm a crier.
I love that. What's your
Yo,
sign?
Gal
an Aquarius.
Gadot. Gal Gadot.
I don't cry
She's
about
there.
much. When I cry, it's for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yes.
Okay,
you
I
let
think
it
we
go.
got what we needed to get here. This is tough. Okay, I'm gonna pull it back. I think I know what happened. Hold on. Indulge me. We're gonna now listen with ears attuned, if you will. But it's that tension point. You could hear when she was just like, "I play your music when I want to fight," and you can actually hear Meg try to redirect her energy and be like, no, throw that fighting shit out the window. I'm a bad bitch, right? It's about being a bad bitch music. It's about being a hottie. There are, well, let's just play it again and we'll break it down.
Right. No,
This is a live stream.
No, I know. No, your music has literally
Changed
made
their
me
life.
when I want to fight someone, I
Are you
listen to your
legit
music.
tearing up?
Okay, so right there, when I want to fight someone, I listen to your music. The thing is, nothing about Meg's music is relatable to that. You know what I mean? That's not Kendrick. Kendrick music, Meg is really very feeling your fucking self, whatever. I understand. And then you hear Meg actually come in and try to redirect the attention.
Because you want to throw that fighting shit out the window and you
You want to throw that fighting shit out the window.
want to get cute and be a bad bitch.
When people
You should want to get cute and be a bad bitch.
are talking shit, I go, turn on.
And then Hannah Berner, that blows by her and she goes, when people are talking shit, I want to turn up. Well, let's pull it back a little bit.
Oh, turn on Meg Thee
Body yada
Stallion.
yada. I look beautiful. I look so.
When people are talking shit, turn the music up. Okay, I get it. Look, I'm gonna submit the racism. I don't know. I understand though. I'm gonna just say this. This is what happens when you don't have enough black friends, right? You're reaching to try to be relatable. You're not picking up on cues. That was a very traumatic event for Meg Thee Stallion, and I think to associate her with violence or aggression, it's very easy to say that there are racial undertones there. Do I think that this is where we should be hanging our hat on this is a classic example of racism? No, this is a classic example of you not getting out enough, bitch. You're a famous person now too. That's Hannah Berner. She's a well-known comedian or whatever in certain circles. And I would argue more newer played it very strategic and is a little bit on the newer, greener side of comedy relative to where she's at, right? If you look at Matt Rife has been doing comedy for over 10 years. Say what you will about however you feel about his comedy, the guy has put in his time. And one of the things I like about comedy, if you go to a comedy club, You go to an open mic, it feels like a fucking airport. It's one of the only places where you're really getting this like mixed crowd that you don't really get anymore. Considering the onslaught of stuff and the cultural climate that we're in, where they're casually talking about pardoning Derek Chauvin. Trump is saying, like, issuing legal threats if Black Lives Matter, the painting in Washington D.C., the where it's written on the intersection, if that isn't covered up. There's all these ways, right? And this isn't about, oh, this is just because I'm talking about this because I'm Black. Like, if we're still there, you're a bit of an asshat. Do you know what I mean? Like, the right understands that if they constantly diminish and dehumanize Black people and Black culture, and those two things at once, we will never actualize our movement. They know that. If you go back to like when movements happen, what's enabled or allowed activations to happen, it starts with an inciting event that has to do with that's what we do here. That's what we do here. If you think about Black freedom struggles, the aesthetic of it, the genre, when people do the quotes, when they think of the Black freedom struggle has become emblematic of all freedom struggles. So if they constantly denigrate, and I'm using that word on purpose, if you think about etymology, it's very, very calculated. So they're using trans people as a lightning rod, misogyny and hating women actively, right? Women's rights is foundational to all rights. And so are Black rights. These are civil rights, right? These are the two populations where if you keep them down, no movement will actualize. And trans folks, we are so easily manipulated and also so vulnerable and too smart. We should have never gone to school. But we're becoming a lightning rod issue. And why they can do that is because no trans movement will ever be big enough to threaten them. We simply do not have the numbers. But if trans people were to fold ourselves, as we should, into these Black and women-led movements, we are unfucking stoppable. And I believe that we are headed there. I truly fucking do. But I'm not interested in, people got to write things. And there are certainly, I think the word I saw often was like racism or microaggressions. And, sure. I just, the same thing happened when Babyface, who, one day, I hope we'll like talk to about it. It almost happened. I just, we got to grow with intention. But, he got snubbed on the carpet. This is like a person with a massive discography, and these like AP bitches just like tried to throw him away so they could run and go talk to Chappell Roan. Like, it's the Kardashians, right? They traded in their Black boyfriends for like Twinkie white guys with Victorian melancholic faces, or like the alt white guys, you got Travis or like Pete, and that it's this is the way it goes. Skinny, terribly skinny, scary skinny is now in, but now because of body positivity, we can't actually call it what it is. It's like we've gone back to like the aughts, but like no language and no subcultures. But we're going to fix it. It is right sizing. Like I said, it's this friction between the Dems that's happening right now. That's a very good thing. This is a good moment for that, a good time for that to happen. Out of respect, because, we got to do the questions and, keep letting me know. But I've heard from a few of you, we want to keep that shit going, which is great. So let me play this one. We got a good one today. They're all good though, right?
Janaya, it's Mez calling from Melbourne.
Oh, hi Mez. I just like the way I don't think I've really heard my name said in an Aussie accent. And I've been to Melbourne. I like it so much better than Sydney. It's also so queer. It's like so Sydney felt like it was a lot of barefoot, blonde dreads, and dirty mullets. In Melbourne, it was coffee shops, clean mullets, and a lot of overalls and Blundstones.
Nam, Australia. This is like the 6th time I've tried to record this because I keep flubbing it. So I'm just going to dive straight in. My question is, where did you develop your framework for understanding power, and what would you recommend for anyone who wants to look into digging into that more? I want to know who your go-tos are for thinkers and theories and activists. Who do you think of when you think about breaking down the concept of power, whether that's our power, structural power, collective power, power over, power with, identifying mechanisms of power, all of it. Yeah. Power. Where to start? Thanks so much. I love what you share from your brain, and especially love how you break down some of this stuff like power. Okay. Big love. Aloha. Bye.
This is a really good question, and there are layers to it. So I'm actually I'm going to be jotting down some notes while I'm talking. Yes. Okay. Power. Okay. There's so many things here. I break it down. So we talked, I did the little staircase thing with y'all. It's like, where does it come from? Who are my go-tos? Okay. So one of the things, there's like so many different ways. But one of the things that I do, one of the practices that I have is that when I'm reading something, right? Like, I mentioned, I read everything that, people will write, and I'll go through this, deep dive. But bibliographies, anytime that you get a book that is like The New Jim Crow, for example, there's going to be a plethora of bibliographies in the back, and they are a great way to develop a reading list that is very strong very quickly. So, you pick up The New Jim Crow, or you pick up, anything by like a Saidiya Hartman, and you're going to get a Christina Sharp or a Dion Brand reference. So that's like, that bibliographies are a hack for me. And then I also research grad papers. James Cameron, who, the Avatar guy, Titanic guy, like, his, he seems so ahead of the curve from a technology perspective, but that's also, and I actually picked up that habit from him, where he will read graduate papers and on, filmmaking, et cetera, but that kind of gave him a competitive edge, right? He also just does things on his own too, like, but I'm not getting down in no submarine, like, absolutely the fuck not. Like, no. Where I saw what happened. We all saw what happened. It was a different time. I miss it. And then there are more practical things. So if, Asada Shakur or an Audre Lorde, I want to say her 1984, I got to write it down. Yeah, I remember things sometimes if I write it out, but then if I don't, I get really confused. It's, I don't have a photographic memory, but it's a memory that works better when I write it. 1984, age, race, class, and sex. Women redefining difference, right? So in that book, she said, it was the first time I came across the words mythical norm, and I'd never heard that word association before. And for my visual people, the word association really helps with creating something like, visually compelling. So I made a great way to learn things or like internalize our understanding of power is to take something and then create, like, how could I make that about power? So I made an exercise, and I referenced that before when I was a facilitator. That was the mythical norm exercise. And I would ask people to make a private list. So at first I would ask people actually out loud, what are some things that we assume to be privileges, right? So like race, class, sex, whatever. And it gets deeper and deeper. And then, maybe it's English speaking, and maybe it's like owned a computer and, or nuclear family, whatever it is, right? And then I asked everybody to write that list out. And it could get really, really deep. It gets really good. On the best ones, you'll get things like trustworthy, right? Are you somebody that's considered trustworthy? So then I ask you privately to make a checklist for everything that kind of overlaps with your experience. And I like it private because, as I've said, privilege is not a useful tool in power analysis. It fucking sucks, to be honest with you. It's not useful, which is why I hate the term privilege so much. Not only does it turn people off, but it doesn't do its job, right? We have a power analysis for that. That's why I don't like things like cultural appropriation or, instead of racism. Right. And oftentimes one does not equal the other. I know what racism is when I'm talking about racism. We just saw something called a microaggression, right? That the interview is a perfect example. That's a microaggression, but that's not necessarily racism. And I tend to want to spend time, like the cultural events, I think we are great entry points. But when we think of toxic masculinity, right? Great for something to talk about on social media, great for a joke, but we're really talking about patriarchy and misogyny. So being able to differentiate those things is really helpful. Sada Shakur's autobiography. Fuck, am I talking too long? I'm really sorry, you guys. I didn't know this question, and so like I had a sense that it was good because it came with some notes that this is actually that with the. Actually, no, just forget it. It came with notes, which you all are more than welcome to. I was like, oh, I don't want to say what the notes were, but they were great notes. Just, ways to help Rex and that kind of stuff. And, whatever. Oh, Asada Shakur, there was a term that I'd never heard before called lowerarchy, right? That's a term that she coined. And I made a visual from that. So, I was like, what is a lower? So there's a lower, we had the hierarchy and then there's a lowerarchy. So I made it into an hourglass shape. And and then I've got little exercises, little videos out there that explain it. But if you guys want to talk more, but the Penguin Army and the Sunday Sermon folks know, that the answer, if you have the hierarchy on top and the lowerarchy on the bottom, the answer isn't just to flip it, right? That's where the spiral comes in. Other ways with power, Foucault was obviously pretty foundational in terms of understanding language. Canadian philosopher Marshall McLuhan was great in media literacy and power as it works that way. And obviously, framings like Foucault, like the panopticon, et cetera. What else? Foreign policy. We talked about that. If you're thinking like the Middle East, a great entry point is like Prashad or Edward Said. If you're thinking South America, my entry point was Noam Chomsky in terms of America's foreign policy in those nations. And again, bibliographies are a really great source. If you're thinking, I also learned a lot of power from fiction and fantasy, to be honest. I think there's examples of it everywhere, but one of my favorite unexpected things was like, in the Dragonlance series, specifically with Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. That's one of my favorite series of all time in terms of like fantasy outside of the Wheel of Time series. They in this land, in the land of Dragonlance, you've got elves, and elves are good, right? And then you have like ogres and whatever, and they're bad. And then you have humans, and we're kind of like the in-between. And the elves are so good, right? Because they were made by the white gods, but like not like white, like race, like light, like whatever. I mean, there's undertones there too. You get what I'm saying. And then there's this other god that's like sort of red. Humans are kind of like the mix. We could go either way, right? It's about our choices. But what's interesting is, within the elves, there were 3 different tribes. You've had the cking, which is the wild elves. And then the Sylvanesti, and I can't remember the third one, the middle one, right? But like the Sylvanesti were like kind of low key, like what we were talking about with the neighborhoods a couple episodes back or something, where it was like gray. I hope you guys don't mind it being a little bit longer. Call it my forgiveness. Please forgive me, Tor, for missing yesterday's episode. But the Sylvanesti, they really work. They create this like, Okay, so the cking, which is like the wild elves that actually are looked down upon by the 2 other elf tribes, they're wild. Like they like live in the forest as it is, and they frolic, and they're all like whatever, right? But they have the same kinds of powers and the same kind of goodness. All the elves like live for stupid long periods of time. The Sylvan Esti are much more closed off, and they look down on the other elf tribes, blah, blah, blah. But what it showed was that there was something puritanical about the Sylvan Esti, that actually goodness, I'm using air quotes, that is too pure, actually acts the same way that evil does. It operates in exactly the same way. And that was one of my first understandings of horseshoe theory, even though I didn't know it at the time, right? And then, understanding terms like the Overton window. And then another, I should shut up. But then, modernist and postmodernist authors, that fiction really opened up my fucking eyes in like a major way, right? And that's when just a different kind of love of literature, because there's a lot of overlap, right? In modernism, that was the first time we kind of were entering the industrial age, and you really saw people get left behind. It's like the world sped up, right? Because suddenly there's planes and trains and automobiles, but a lot of people got left behind. Just because we could communicate faster didn't necessarily mean that our quality of life increased, but there was a belief. There was a really fervent belief that that technology would save us, that there was something perfect about technology. There was something pure about it. And obviously, in Faulkner's work, so think As I Lay Dying, in Hemingway, in T.S. Eliot, there is all of these teachings of the people who got left behind. Or, you think of like profound works like The Wasteland, right? Those works really captured that the forgotten generation, or they were called the lost generation, right? Post-war men who had nowhere to go and no prospects, and who were full of fucking trauma. Those works were really stunning. Modernist writing to me was just like really fucking moving. And then postmodern authors, basically some of them that come up, that are very contemporary. If you're thinking like H8te Smith, look at me. I'm like, give me words for inspiration. But yeah, like, I don't know. If I'm thinking like postmodernist authors that really helped me understand. James Joyce really helped me understand power. Ralph Ellison. I could go on. But yeah, but taking the words and then practicing those words, or like pausing and writing out what I wanted, what I think they were saying. When you start to grow in conversation with the text, that's when you really start to get a sense of power and action. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That was holy shit. That was so long. But those are just some of my entry points. And then like personal power is something else entirely, which, maybe that'll be a good thing to talk to with somebody else, finding that, what that looks like. Because for me, it was a fucking shit show, but a great one, because that's life. And as I want to say, being alive is embarrassing, but and Octavia Butler, obviously, science fiction is also really fantastic for understanding power. It's a grapple, right? The first place we go is often Parable of the Sower, Parable of the Talents, or the Kindred, which is a great way to capture the inescapability of history for those who refuse to like confront it. And even then, but Lilith's Brood really fucked up my head in a fantastic way, because it starts you out with the worst possible reality, which is the human condition. Like, what if we aren't redeemable? What does that mean? I'm not breaking anything, because this is literally in the first couple of pages. If you want me to whet your appetite a little bit, in Lilith's Brood, right? This is by Octavia Butler. In the first couple of pages, you learn that the Earth, that you are on a spaceship that is completely organic, and there's a population of aliens called the Oankali. And I think, we all make up how to pronounce words that are made up. and then struggle to talk about the book around each other. It's really fucking cute. I think I'm saying it right. But I swear I'll end it here. But you know, and the Oankali are reviving this population of people, humans that have been saved from the earth. So a couple hundred years have gone by. We had nuclear disaster. We fucked everything up, and they took they took a population of us, and then they put us into a chamber very quickly. And I promise this literally happens like the first fucking 10 pages. It's wild. When the humans are revived, they're just like, okay, well, thanks. Appreciate what you guys did. Appreciate you guys taking on a kind of pseudo humanoid form, but could you put us back? Like, really, thank you so much, but like, put us back. And they're like, Loki, we can't. And they're like, why? And they're like, because you guys are kind of fucked up on a genetic level. And they're like, what are you talking about? And they say, humans have two things, right? Each of the things that we have, if we only have one of those things, we exist just fine. But if we have both of those things, we are doomed to conflict and destruction for the rest of eternity. What are those two things? Intelligence and hierarchical thinking. We can only have one. That is how the fucking book starts. Do you get me? Massive. I love reading so much. But listening to has been really helpful. I watch a lot of debates from back in the day online. You'll hear a Baldwin yap it up with so-and-so, and you can see power in action, and because rhetoric has so much to do with that. And then that brings us back to Foucault and, folks like Marshall McLuhan, those philosophers. Anyway, yada, yada. I'm too fucking yappy. I love that question. I love this question. I do love the question parts. And if there's a follow-up, let me know. And, I know that the voice note thing can be a little bit annoying. I love it because I love playing it and I love hearing your voices, and I get so fucking tired of hearing my own. So I know it's so cringe, but I do want to hear from you. It's like not even a joke. It's like I get to put a voice to a name. We get, all we get is emails all day. It's so good to hear from you. I hope that Rachel Maddow shit wasn't too tiresome, because, she's a girl on the go, right? But when you're doing the fact check shit, it can get really granular. But you know what? I'm proud of us. We stuck it out. And I do want to say once again, I'm really fucking proud of you, because I know a lot of folks who are really, Bernie said, you can't hide under the covers, And I'm like, yeah, unless I'm there with you, no covers. This is not the time to despair. And, a little bit is okay. A little bit of melancholy is okay, right? A little bit of Sylvia Plath. But we can't stay there. We got to Aubrey Plaza that shit, right? We can be dark, but we got to be fucking funny and a little bit delusional. Just know that I'm with you. And when I say funny, I mean, a couple of folks on the reels were like, just whether to laugh or cry. And that's it. That's it right there. That's a good place for us to be, because this shit is deranged. It is fucking deranged, but they want to kill our spirits. They want to take our imagination. They want to take our art. They want to take our trees. They want to take the water. They are every evil thing I have ever read about. It's insane how on the nose they are. It's wild. It's wild. But it is true, ketamine fucking addled dorks, but I'm not giving them any excuses. They don't get that. They don't get to have that. This is just straight up disgusting greed in the most naked form. So make whatever, write everything, make everything. This weekend, you have a commitment from me. I'm going to be figuring out the Substack shit, because I want to write, and I want to read your writing. And I think we can do that together, in whatever capacity you guys want to be involved. But it's time. I did my little first reel. You saw. It's happening a little bit, trying to figure it out. And that's just it. We're all trying to figure it out. But remember that growth for the sake of growth, as in just making shit for the sake of making shit in volume or whatever, is the logic of cancer, right? It's okay to take your time. You have time, okay? We have all the time in the world. We have not lost time. Everything is still ahead of you. Everything is still ahead of you. Even when it's fucking tough, and it can get so tough. Keep enough curiosity that you want to turn the page, because I promise you that everything can change with just that motion. It's happened for me over and over and over again, because when everything's done, when everything's bad, it feels like everything is collapsing and the sky falls on you, right? In a sense, we're kind of flying. You know? And there's something really profound in that. You are not alone. And if you are, then we're alone together. All right. I've yapped enough. I'll play my little outro music. I really appreciate y'all so fucking much. Okay. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to Dark Woke. It means the world to me. This show really is a labor of love. We got new episodes dropping all the days of the week. We're available everywhere podcasts are. Don't forget that we are self-funded. If you love the show, please feel free to support us on Patreon as best you can. We're at patreon.com/darkwoke. I do want to hear from you. Drop your voice note questions to darkwokejfk@gmail.com. Shout out to KR and the JFK team. And shout out to you, the listeners that make it all possible. Love you!